There have been many power couples in fiction. Superman had Lois Lane.
Do you know what it is that you do to me?
Kermit the Frog had Miss Piggy. And Spider-Man had Mary Jane. In the world of the Transformers, Optimus Prime had his true love as well. Leader of the female Autobot resistance team on Cybertron and thorn in Shockwave's eye.
This one has your name on it, Shockwave!
The one, the only, Elita One.
I can deal with Decepticons. Elita One knows no fear.
I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one or purchase some merch on my Spring store today. As I've covered in previous videos, the Transformers themselves were initially stated to be genderless. However, Ron Friedman fought to include a female Transformer to be included in Transformers the movie. While RC would not be able to make her debut until the summer of 1986, her approval opened the door for the introduction of other female Transformers, beginning with a squad of Autobots led by Elita One in the Season 2 episode, The Search for Alpha Trion.
So the female Autobots still exist?
Yes, we exist, and we always will.
Such noble nonsense.
Voiced by Marlene Aragon, Elita One was a strong and courageous warrior who cared deeply for her fellow Autobots.
You survived, therefore you did not fail.
Especially the love of her life, Optimus Prime.
Please, let him go.
They had battled against the Decepticons for many years, until preparations were being made for the Autobots to leave Cybertron in search of a way to save their home world.
Optimus, wait!
Elita, take cover!
I want to go with you!
Unfortunately, a Decepticon attack separated Optimus Prime from Elita One, as Prime believed Elita was killed in the assault. However, she lived on long after Optimus Prime had crash-landed on Earth with her Autobot team of Chromia, Moonracer, Firestar, Greenlight, and Lancer. Safely hidden in an underground base on Cybertron, Elita One and her team continued the fight against the Decepticons. Unfortunately, Shockwave discovered their secret base, which resulted in Elita One's capture. Coming to her rescue,
I will save you, Elita One, even if it means sacrificing myself.
Optimus Prime was captured as well. But before he could be dropped into a vat of acid, Elita One used her special power, a time-stopping ability, to save him. Unfortunately, this power was only meant to be used as a last resort, as it drained her of all her energy. To save Elita One, Optimus Prime searched Cybertron for Alpha Trion, the oldest and wisest of Autobots.
I don't know how much longer I can last. Fading fast.
Meanwhile, some of the Autobots came to Cybertron battling against Shockwave. Arriving at Alpha Trion's base,
She used her special power. I warned her not to. She did it to save me.
Optimus Prime was then instructed to disengage his power filter to revitalize Elita One. Once reactivated, Optimus Prime and Elita One joined back up with their Autobot teams to push back against the Decepticons.
And it sure is great to see you back. You bet.
Alpha Trion was then able to relocate Elita One and her team to a new headquarters on Cybertron. Unfortunately, she had to say farewell to Optimus Prime once again, as he needed to keep the fight going against the Decepticons on Earth. While it was inferred that Alpha Trion had created Optimus Prime and Elita One,
Yes, such a wise old Autobot. He's almost like a father to me.
More than you'll ever know, Elita.
their origin was expanded upon in a later episode, War Dawn.
Well, it all began about 9 million years ago.
Oh, great. It's gonna be one of those long stories.
Sent back in time 9 million years to the golden age of Cybertron by the Decepticons, the aerial bots meet a young warehouse worker named Orion Pax. Naive about the tyrannical nature of the Decepticons, Orion Pax enjoyed his work with his best friend Dion and his girlfriend Ariel.
And this is Ariel. Keep away from her. She's my girlfriend.
Don't listen to him. He's just a jealous type.
Voiced by Samantha Newark, Ariel had heard some of the rumors about Megatron despite everyone's skepticism.
I heard that their leaders put together some kind of army and attacked one of the outer cities.
You'd believe anything.
Unfortunately, Megatron arrived at the warehouse,
Orion Pax. It's really thrilled to meet you, sir.
who, after learning what was stored there, blasted Ariel and Orion Pax.
You monster!
The other Autobots stood no chance against the other Decepticons. The Aerialbots returned shortly after, only to discover that Orion Pax was dying.
That Megatron, I'll pay him back for this if it's the last thing I do.
Searching to save him, the Aerialbots came across a much younger Alpha Trion, who rebuilt Orion Pax into Optimus Prime. When David Wise had originally written the episode, he initially intended for both Dion and Ariel to die to raise the stakes for the Autobots. However, some of the other Transformers writers pointed out the similarities between Ariel and Elita One, and so a new line was added by the story editors to establish the connection.
A female warrior. I'll call her Elita One.
This also explained why Alpha Trion knew how Optimus Prime could save Elita One after she used her special power.
Now we've got to try to help Ariel.
Yes. Can you reconstruct her as you did me?
Perhaps I can try a similar reconstruction using your schematics.
Of course, fans wondered what became of Dion, which I have covered previously. Unfortunately, despite such a memorable introduction, Elita One did not make any further appearances in the cartoon. The Japanese manga would go on to infer that Elita One and her team still lived on after Rodimus Prime became the new leader of the Autobots. Also, for many years, fans had wondered what her full vehicle mode looked like since it was obscured from view. Fortunately, Jim Sorensen was able to acquire the model itself, which can now be seen in his book, Transformers: A Visual History. After G1 ended, Elita One faded into obscurity for many years. Since she was a creation of the cartoon, she did not receive a toy either, with the exception of a Japanese exclusive model kit in 1996. She almost had a major storyline as an agent of the Quintessons in the Dreamwave comics. However, this story was unfortunately cancelled when Dreamwave went bankrupt. In Transformers Energon, the first mass retail release of RC went by the name of Ariel in Japan. This figure was redecoed and released during the first live-action movie toy line as Elita One. Her bio states that she is the first female Transformer, which garners her a lot of attention. In addition to her cunning skill as a warrior and a sharpshooter, she uses the attention she gets to her advantage, as Elita One has the ability to create an attraction field that causes her opponents to overheat. In a confusing introduction into the actual films, a motorcycle trio of female Autobots were characterized as the individual RC in Revenge of the Fallen. However, the toy line released various figures of the motorcycle robots as Chromia, RC, and Elita One. In an attempt to rectify this, the tie-in movie comics, which tended to use a more G1 styled head designed for Elita One, told stories of her prior to the events of the first film, where the violence of the war drove a wedge between her and Optimus Prime. After being killed by the Decepticons, both Elita One and Chromia's bodies were acquired by the Decepticon scientist Flatline. In an experiment on resurrection, Flatline used the Autobot RC to reignite Elita One and Chromia's sparks, placing them in new bodies as a single merged mind. While the trio was shown to be killed off during the final battle in Revenge of the Fallen, Elita One somehow survived before being killed by Shockwave prior to Dark of the Moon. A new version of Elita One was introduced in Transformers Animated. Years ago, she, along with Optimus and Sentinel, searched the organic planet Arca 7 for a stash of Energon cubes left behind by the Decepticons. Voiced by Cree Summer.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. What is it?
I have no idea.
Elita One had a special ability similar to Mega Man. which allowed her to temporarily copy the powers of others. Unfortunately, Elita was thought to have been killed in an energon explosion when a group of large spiders attacked the Autobots. While Sentinel blamed Optimus for leaving her behind, Elita One used her powers on the spiders, mutating her into a techno-organic.
I was nothing but a freak!
Now calling herself Black Arachnia, she joined the Decepticons until Megatron went missing in search of the Allspark. Arriving on Earth on Halloween night, Black Arachnia battled against the Autobots, hoping to use Sari Sumdak's Allspark key to cure herself of her organic mutation. While this miserably failed, Black Arachnia was still heartbroken for being left behind, refusing to trust any Autobot again, especially Optimus Prime.
It'll be a long time before I trust an Autobot. Especially you, Optimus.
Further details for Black Arachnia will have to be a discussion for another day. In the BotCon exclusive comics in 2007, Elita One appeared in Marvel Comics G1 continuity with a mysterious origin only known to Grimlock. With expert martial arts skill and light-bending powers, Elita One was designed based on the Decepticon Thunderblast from Transformers Cybertron. This led to an actual toy of her being produced as a BotCon exclusive in 2009. Over the next few years, Elita One made extremely brief appearances in Transformers media.
A strong and beautiful woman. Which reminds me, I haven't seen Elita One for a long time.
Including a Shattered Glass incarnation, during events in the Transformers Legends card game, and Super Link Ariel even was rebuilt twice into Elita 5 and Elita 7 respectively.
Elita, what are you doing these days, I wonder? I shall protect your future and the future of all Autobots.
Elita One would return to prominence in a different way in the IDW comics. With no history between her and Optimus Prime, Elita One valued truth, efficiency, and security above all else and was the captain, or first one, of the Titan-turned starship Carcer that secretly acted as a prison for the evil Prime Liege Maximo. Joining the Council of Worlds, Elita One had little trust in other Cybertronians, especially Optimus Prime and Starscream, and of course, humans. When an undead army of Titans attacked Cybertron, Elita One refused to activate and transform Carcer. However, Windblade chose to use her City Speaker ability to force the Titan to transform. Fearing that Carcer, whose true name was Vigilum, would free Liege Maximo, Elita One killed Vigilum by destroying his brain module. Unfortunately, Liege Maximo escaped in the process, but that is a discussion for another day. Angered by Windblade's actions, Elita One attempted to gain leadership of Cybertron by pushing for an election. However, it was Windblade who ended up winning in a landslide, thanks in part to Starscream, who confessed to his past crimes. Soon after, Unicron attacked Cybertron, and Elita One sacrificed herself by crashing the remains of Carcer into Unicron's face to buy the Cybertronians time to evacuate the planet. Elita One received a new toy in the Power of the Prime's toy line in 2018. This time she was a heavy retool of Power of the Prime Starscream, transforming into a Cybertronian jet. As such, she became a combiner torso, able to merge with any deluxe figure in the line as Elita Infinite. It was this version of Elita One that appeared in mobile games such as Earth Wars and Angry Birds Transformers. However, when the rest of Elita One's team was used to make limbs for her combined form, she was then dubbed Orthea, who briefly appeared in the Japanese exclusive Generation Select special comic. With Elita One returning to the forefront once again, she also made a return in IDW's rebooted continuity as part of the Ascenticon Guard under Megatron's command. However, the thuggish nature of some of the Guard members made Elita One question some of their motives, especially Soundwave. This did not sit well with Megatron, who ordered Soundwave to strip Elita One of her rank and imprison her as the Ascenticons rose to become the Decepticons. In the War for Cybertron trilogy series on Netflix, Elita One was, like her G1 counterpart, once known as Ariel.
Prime took you for granted, Ariel.
as she battled against the Decepticons at Optimus Prime's side as a powerful Autobot warrior. Voiced by Lindsay Rousseau, Elita One grew weary of the war as it began to create a wedge in her and Optimus's relationship.
This was not the life I imagined for us.
But it's a life worth fighting for.
Promoted to the Autobots second in command after Ultra Magnus's capture, Elita One helped carry out Optimus Prime's plan to prevent the Decepticons from obtaining the Allspark, as Megatron planned on using it to turn every Transformer on Cybertron into Decepticons. After Optimus Prime tossed the Allspark through a space bridge, Elita One chose to stay behind on Cybertron.
This wasn't the life I imagined for us either. But it's one worth fighting for.
As Optimus led the Autobots aboard the Ark through a space bridge. Continuing the fight against the Decepticons, Elita One led what was left of the Autobots on Cybertron to free any Decepticon prisoners of war. After learning that Shockwave was cannibalizing any weak Transformer by draining their sparks of their energon, Elita One led her team into the Kaon Arena to blow it sky high. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, they all met their end in the explosion. Optimus Prime was able to find the Allspark on Earth, as it used Elita One as an avatar to communicate with him. Once the leader of the Autobots returned the Allspark to Cybertron, Elita One's spark became its guardian, as she defended it from the evil of Galvatron and Nemesis Prime. Elita One's new robot design was created for the Netflix animated series, which is probably why it was also used in the new IDW comics. This prompted Hasbro to release a new Walmart exclusive figure as a retool of Earthrise RC in 2020. It's without a doubt that Optimus Prime's female counterpart has risen from a relatively obscure character to a much more prominent role in recent years.
I will always love you, Orion.
With rumors circulating that Elita One will receive a new toy in the future, one can only hope that it will more closely resemble her G1 animation model. Even with 4 official spellings of her name, Elita One will most likely continue battling against the Decepticon in the years to come, hopefully once again restoring peace alongside her love, Optimus Prime.
Goodbye, Optimus Prime! Don't stay away too long!
But what do you think? Should Elita One receive larger roles in the future of the franchise, and what is your favorite version of the character? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
Elita, let her go, Megatron, or I'll...
You surrender immediately if you ever want to see Elita One functioning again.
No!